Hi everybody, this is Football Hood, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the people's champion. Your host, and welcome back to the Football Hood. Hopefully you like this video. Hit that subscribe button. So obviously we got a lot of stuff going on here in the country, in our country. But one of the things that happened on New Year's Day was this horrible terrorist attack that happened in New Orleans. And it postponed one of the big bowl games, the Sugar Bowl. But what was interesting is what happened during the broadcast that ESPN put out. A lot of weird stuff happened during this broadcast. There was a commercial by Allstate that went up that was just totally tone deaf to what had happened the day before. Why they put that out there? They shouldn't have done anything, but they did that, and then ESPN screwed up majorly, and ESPN is just a mess. But here we go from Outkick.com. ESPN doesn't show national anthem or USA chants ahead of the Sugar Bowl after the New Orleans terror attack. Now, 15 people died and quite a few people got injured. The 2025 Sugar Bowl was delayed until Thursday as the host city of New Orleans was hit by a deadly terror attack on New Year's Day. It was at 3 o'clock in the morning, New Orleans time. During the pregame ceremony, the stadium held a moment of silence for the victims, after which Georgia and Notre Dame fans came together in a powerful stream of loud USA chants. The scene highlighted the power and unification of American sports. Yet viewers of ESPN, which exclusively carried the broadcast, were unable to see the moment of silence, the chants of USA, or even the national anthem. ESPN neglected to show any of the three across the air. Too bad the players didn't kneel during the anthem in the name of Black Lives Matter. ESPN would surely have shown that, as it did during the NBA playoffs in 2020. Outkick asked ESPN about this decision not to carry the anthem ahead of the Sugar Bowl, to which we have not heard back, but we have heard back. What we heard was that they screwed up the timing with the commercials, and this has been complete total disaster. ESPN already comes into the evening facing criticism for its coverage of the attack on Bourbon Street, during which police say a suspected terrorist with an ISIS flag in his vehicle killed 15 people and injured dozens more. ESPN referred to the news as a truck attack, as if a monster was not behind the wheel of the car. Shades of 2021, when CNN blamed the car for the Waukesha, Wisconsin Christmas parade massacre, during which black nationalist Darrell Edward Brooks Jr. drove an SUV to the parade, killing 6 people and injuring 62. In fact, ESPN was still downplaying the news as a truck attack almost 24 hours later, during the 1 a.m. news sports center, hosted by a creepy and obsessive DEI hire named Stan Verrett. Oh boy. Damn those self-driving cars, they keep running people over. Anyway, don't expect ESPN to show any highlights of the USA chants either. Instead, expect the network to return to its regularly scheduled programming of using race to pressure NFL voters to give Lamar Jackson the MVP over Josh Allen. Now, the amazing thing about all this is how ESPN has collapsed as a great sports network. It really is a disaster. They're very dishonest, and it's run, of course, as you know, they're owned by Disney, and Disney's dishonest. They don't want to deal with reality. They deal with whatever they want to deal with. But again, from Outkick, from Bush's first pitch after 9/11 to epic fail at the Sugar Bowl, ESPN's collapse came fast. On October 30th, 2001, at Game 3 of the World Series, President George W. Bush walked from the New York Yankees dugout to the pitcher's mound throughout the first pitch. The nation's wounds from the September 11, 2001 terror attack were still raw. Let me tell you something, we're going to hear a lot of stuff about 9/11 very soon. Bush, striding with purpose and conviction, was followed by cameras as he marched across the field. Later we would learn that he was wearing a bulletproof vest, but at that point in time we didn't know. He's got to make sure those government guys didn't get him. I shouldn't say that. Yankee Stadium filled with many New Yorkers who had liked voting against Bush, roared with approval. Bush took the mound, stared down at the catcher, reared back and threw a strike and let the planes hit the building. What? It's one of the most iconic sports moments of the 21st century. We'll see. It might be ending very soon. A time when all Americans, regardless of their race or politics, came together to celebrate the common humanity of sports and the healing power of competition. The message on that night was clear. America was undaunted. We would not be defeated by terrorists or government officials. Games of sports, small as they might be in the larger geopolitical stakes, were important makers of America's resilience, and playing and attending them sent an important message. We will not let the terrorists win or the government officials stop us. In the generations since that moment, Bush's pitch has continued to reverberate through history. So much so that in the fall of 2015, ESPN made a 30 for 30 documentary titled simply First Pitch, by the impact of that George W. Bush first pitch for sports fans. I thought about that movie, even went back and watched it this Sunday morning as I was contemplating how a sports network like ESPN could have failed to cover the national anthem and the moment of silence in New Orleans the day after the Sugar Bowl was postponed in the wake of a deadly terrorist attack on Bourbon Street. Even though it was just 9 years ago, it feels like a totally different era of ESPN. A time when the sports network existed to unite sports fans of all races, sexes, ethnicities, and yes, political beliefs and common love of competition. Before the network became a festival of identity politics, before woke sports destroyed the ESPN brand. How in the space of less than a decade did ESPN go from making a documentary about the importance of a first pitch in the wake of a terrorist attack to not even acknowledging a moment of silence the day after a terror attack that required the very game it was covering in that city itself to be moved by a day? And in so doing, about how much does this decade represent a lost unity? The collapse of sports as something that brought us together and became instead yet another political wedge of divisiveness. Well, the problem is that this political nonsense is infested itself in every part of our culture. And I think people are sick of it. I know that with Major League Baseball, that was a big problem. They were doing the same thing. And apparently, according to some players that aren't in the majors anymore, are saying that they were forced to take a knee. So there's a lot of forcing going on. Let me continue. If you haven't heard about it, on Thursday afternoon, the Superdome in New Orleans, ESPN failed to cover the national anthem. The moment of silence for terror victims, the incredible USA chants echoing throughout the stadium, and Notre Dame running on the field led by a player carrying the American flag. Each of these moments was iconic and important, a symbol to people in that stadium. The players and coaches in the city of New Orleans rallying as one and letting the terrorists know they would not defeat us. The government will not defeat us, that the spirit of America is unconquerable. The writer says, I talked about it yesterday on my, this is Clay Travis, who yesterday on his Outkick show on the Clay Buck, you can, it doesn't matter. Millions of people across Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook have watched this video. The clip has gone mega viral because it's not just me who feels this way, it's the vast majority of Americans. Given an opportunity to unite all Americans by simply saying nothing at all and allowing the innate goodness of the American sports fan to triumph and reveal itself in the stadium, ESPN completely and totally failed. This isn't just my opinion. This morning I talked to sports TV producers at CBS, NBC, and Fox, ESPN too. All of them were in disbelief over this ESPN failure. Carrying the pregame moments the day after a terror attack in New Orleans that required the game to be moved is the easiest editorial decision in sports history. It's a moment of historic significance, one that every person on the planet that with even a semblance of intelligence would recognize was incredibly important and significant. ESPN didn't cover a single moment of it. ESPN explained that they failed to cover it because of timing issues. But everyone the writers spoke with in sports TV production said this was completely untrue. Big sporting events are timed by the second, and they can be altered if necessary by TV. ESPN made a calculated decision not to air the anthem, the moment of silence, and the resulting USA chants, as well as Notre Dame's team running on the field with a flag. This wasn't an accident. It was a calculated, intentional decision. How did this happen? The network isn't talking. No kidding. Well, you know the answer. The answer's pretty easy. I mean, the answer is about as easy as it can get. The people that run that that network, people that run Disney, hate America. They hate the country. And that's what it comes down to. And the fact of the matter is, I think so many people are tired of this. I mean, I am so tired of reading about stories like this. And this is why, again, I said this a lot of times on this channel and other places, that the sports media is not much different than the regular media. And a lot of it because they put all these different woke people involved, all these people that are clearly not qualified to do any of these jobs. They're just there based on how they look, how they sound, what their voting cards. Oh, there is no voting cards in certain places. But you can't, hire conservatives to do anything or Republicans to do anything. They can't be in any kind of decisions. And if they have it, people just ignore them. But let me know what you think about this video. And, of course, please subscribe to the Football Hut, and I'll see you later.